Hi folks, just wanted to do a video just to show the basics of a hand plane. There's a lot of people not quite sure the different parts and what they do. Also just going to quickly take you through my cleaning up routine. This is not a bad number 5, I don't know if you can see that there. It's the sort of stuff that you're tending to get at the moment. It's a bit rough and ready. It's got the obligatory paint splatters, bits of filler, paint rusting and pitting. Front knob's quite rough. The rear tote or handle is really quite badly stripped. The lacquer and colours coming off. Quite a lot of rust and sort of small pitting and imperfections on the cutter and the cap iron. So I'll just go through stripping it down, and obviously I'll tell you a bit about the parts and what they do to those that are interested. Okay, so first of all, lever cap comes off. Now I haven't touched this apart from spraying a bit of WD-40 in there and down in the frog. So the cutter and the cap iron come off. Please don't be tempted to use the lever cap in that screw. Some people think they're an ideal fit, but you will just end up marring and damaging this, and you see that quite a lot. So that goes to one side. Just a slotted screwdriver. This is a bit small really, but I can't put my hands on a bigger one at the moment. That comes off, slide that out, and we're into 2 parts. So they're out the way. Next is the rear tote. We've got a brass screw there with a bar that goes all the way through into the casting at the bottom, and then we've got a screw in there. So let's go ahead and whip that one out. So that simply comes out there. It should pull up all the way. Got a brass headed screw like a hourglass figure, and then we've got a long threaded bar threaded at the bottom and the top, and obviously blank in the middle. That screw there comes out. Now by the looks of it, this screw is actually the wrong one. This looks like a screw that should be going in there for the frog. That should be a rounded head. It'll do for now. The handle then comes off. You can see we've got a hole all the way through there. There's the base where it sits. Then we've got the frog. This is called the frog. Okay, 2 screws in there which fix it to the bed, and then we've got a little bracket and a screw in there, can we see? And that is the mouth adjustment screw. When we undo them 2 screws in there, that screw will move the frog backwards and forwards, which then alters the position of the cutter backwards and forwards on the bed. So 2 screws in there. Try and get them out. I have blasted them with a bit of WD-40, and we can hear that crack as they go. Don't try and force things. I've done that on a few and actually ended up damaging threads, and then you've got to start searching around for new screws and washers and all sorts. So they come out, and as you can see, they are pretty gummed up. That's the frog in there, that's where the screws go, and we've got all sorts of rust in there. So then we've got the adjustment wheel, which obviously goes backwards and forwards. So this now can come off. You can actually take that out to make the job a bit easier. The whole frog comes out. It's a bit nerve-wracking the first time you strip them down, because you're not sure if you remember how they go back together, but it is relatively easy. Push that backwards and forwards a few times because it won't come off, just to clear some of the muck off the thread. There we go. So that comes right the way off. So we are really stripping this down to all its components. These studs, they would come out. I tend to leave them in. I don't get involved in moving them. And then that's like a little yoke, the Y lever or fork. As the wheel adjusts on that, it moves that little lug backwards and forwards, which moves the cutter up and down. So there's the frog. This is this little bracket. So let's see if this is going to come off for us. It is. The WD-40's worked its magic. So that comes off. Put that to one side. That comes out as well. So we can really strip it down, and we can really get into there and give that a good clean without anything being in the way. Here we go. This is what you tend to get left with. I think you've got bits of moss in there by the looks of it, so I think it's a good while since this has had a clean. Let's take off front knob, which again, now that I can tell from that that's actually bent. Yeah, so we've got a short one with the brass on the top as opposed to the long one for the rear handle. And then what we can do is take out this adjustment screw for the mouth, which moves the frog backwards and forwards. So there we are, and again, so we're left with the blank body with the yoke in there, all the gunge and gubbins in there. We've got all sorts in here, so that's going to be a good clean up. Now, just to quickly take you through what I use, very simple. I don't get involved in wire wheels and rust eating chemicals. Because I like to keep a patina on the plane, so I use good old WD-40 for squirting, an old toothbrush, preferably not one that you're still using because it will get manky, wire wool or steel wool. This is medium. I have got some fine that I do go down to for finishing, but for cleaning up I use that. Good old paper towel for cleaning my hands and wiping everything off, and then 120 grit sandpaper. Now some people will be horrified of using sandpaper, especially 120, because it's not really very fine. They'll be horrified to use that on metal, but that really works a treat with plenty of WD-40, almost using it like a wet and dry. Okay, so I think the first thing is, what we'll do is, let me get my little board, which will hopefully try and keep me bench in some sort of order. So it's a really good dose of WD-40, and then the good old toothbrush, and that really means we can get right in. You'll be amazed how many people go straight in for stripping and all sorts of abrasives, when really all it needs is a bit of WD-40 or some sort of lubricant and a toothbrush. And again, we've got all this in here, so if we can, let's get as much out as we can. And the screwdriver, that really is packed in there. Now we don't want loads of WD-40 in there, because it just tends to pick all the dust up and end up in big globules everywhere. So just liberal. If you need a bit more, you can always add it in. You know, you can add it, but you can't take it away, as they say. So just a good rub with a toothbrush, and this really does get in everywhere. I've tried all sorts of little wire brushes and rags, but I find that a good toothbrush will do the job. There we go. How can we see that? There we go. It just looks better already. And again, Just give it a rub down so you can see what you end up with. It may take you two or three goes, sorry, to get it all clear. But I'm just going to show you quickly, otherwise this will be a 3-hour video and nobody wants that, especially me. But there we go. Miles better already. Okay, so we've got all sorts that's come out. Now the sides, people think we've got to attack that with a wire wheel, or we've got to dunk it in a vat of evapor rust or whatever. Now what I will do is simply start with the cheek. A good dose of WD-40 on there, and then some 120. There we are. Now again, people will probably be horrified that I'm going up on metal with some 120 grit sandpaper, but it really does lift the thick and the loose. And again, I'll just do a little bit to show you. And then a good lump of wire wool, and we'll just take any of the fine off. And I'm not saying this is perfect, and I'm not professing to be an expert because I'm relatively new to it, but I just find that this way really works for me. And as I say, this is just going to be a quick one, just to show you the effects that you can get. Bit of fresh cloth. There you go. And we're at that sort of stage already. There's the other side. Pretty manky. Paint splatters, which this side had, and that is just, as you've seen, you know, I don't know, a minute. Let's do the other side, just to show you that it's not a fluke. Again, I don't like to let the metal get dry when I've got this sandpaper on it, because then you will start scratching, and I've made the mistake, and it really will tarnish the sides and cause all sorts of scratches and pitting. So you're making it so it's almost like a wet and dry. You get to this stage and you think, crikey, what have I done? Because you suddenly get everything, all that rust is dissolving in a WD-40 and all the bits are being picked up, and you think, crikey. And then you wipe it over with a bit of wire wool. And again, I've got to stress this is only a quick job. I will, you know, I'll probably stick some pictures or a finished video on just to show how it can finish. There we go, we've still got a bit of black on there. Now some people would stop at that, because, you know, you still want a bit of patina on there. I don't want these shiny, they've got a bit of age to them, I want it to show. So we've got some black on there, we've got some black on top. Now again, I think the top of these castings, the top of the body, look really nice when they've got a bit of shine to them. So again, what you can do is squirt the WD-40 on the sandpaper, and you can actually work. You can actually work on that top. And again, a bit of WD-40. bit of wire wool, bit of sandpaper. A wipe. You know, and for 30 seconds, there's the one we haven't touched. There's the one we've just done, with a bit of a shine to it. Then of the bodies, now picking the light up. Again, the sole, we've actually got some lumps of wood filler on there. So again, what we'll do, WD-40. You don't want loads, you know, you don't want the sandpaper skating over it, but you want enough so that there's not too much friction there. It's all just about time, I think. You know, some people, you haven't got a lot of time, and I appreciate that. I'm quite lucky that I do have time comes around when I have got free time and I can dedicate to this. And I really do find it quite therapeutic, to be honest, especially when the anxiety is bad and I get myself in here and I can lose myself for an easy few hours. Not everyone's idea of fun, but you know, 47 years old, I'm certainly not going to go motocrossing or mountain biking or even running. This is my exercise. Again, you look at that and you think, God, that looks dreadful. Bit of wire wool, just to lift and move around them impurities that we've taken off the sole of the plane. And again, this is only a quick job. You know, I would spend quite a bit more on this. There we go. I think we can agree. He says sounding like some sort of QVC salesman, that is not a bad job at all. Again, 120 grit sandpaper, WD-40, wire wool, and a bit of elbow grease. You know, and some people will be happy to call that done. I'll probably work on that a little bit more, but overall, and all I'll do is I'll use the same process for the lever cap, sorry, the back iron or the cap iron, and the cutter and the frog. Again, we'll get WD-40'd, brushed with the toothbrush, and then a quick rub over with wire wool. The lever cap, not quite sure yet what to do. I'll have a go at that, but you'll probably see that in the finished video or pictures. So that's just a quick video. Looks like about 18-19 minutes long. Not the most fascinating watch if you're not into this sort of thing, but it's just the basics. That's the way I do things, you know. And really, with probably 10 minutes work, we're at that sort of stage. That would be a good user plane, which is what this is going to end up being. I'll do a bit more work on it, and hopefully put another finished video and some pictures on. Okay, thank you. Bye for now.